Hi everybody. I don't want you guys to plan on spending a whole lot of time staring at the screen because I'm not going to be necessarily looking at it while I'm reading. But while I'm talking, whoever my substitute is today, will you please make sure that everybody gets this sheet? Okay, let me move this thing. If you guys get this sheet, whenever you guys have this sheet, I want you guys writing down things that happen in the Odyssey. So each book will have a lot of different things that you write in it. Perhaps when you get to book 23, maybe not as much stuff happens here, but in all the rest of these books, tons of things happen. So go ahead and make sure that paper is getting passed out to you guys. At the very bottom side, in the back, it says key people. So if there are key people that come up, you're going to have tons of strange names, I have to tell you. You're not going to have Tom and Bob and Mary and Susie or whatever. None of those names will exist. So it's really important that you guys kind of write down what you know about these people. Now, I'll tell you if you need to write somebody's name down. And if you do that, that's great, because that will help you later. I also would like you guys to write down a T-chart, okay? Your T-chart should look something like this. On the left side, I want you guys to write plus sign, and on the right side, I want you to put a negative, and that is going to be where our plus side is. That means smart. I know this doesn't sound very nice, but we're going to have smart and stupid, okay? So really good things are smart, really bad things are stupid, okay? I want you guys to know about the smart and stupid chart. I may not always agree with everything that you put on your chart as if you think something is smart or stupid, but you should have a lot of things on this chart as we get going through it. This is something that is graded. You do need to know, I will ask you guys questions as we go through this. If you guys are listening for me when I ask you, hey, do you think this is smart or do you think this is stupid? You would know and you would be prepared. So every time that we read through the Odyssey, which will pretty much happen almost every single day, you guys will be asked those things. So you will need this out every single day, and you will need this out every single day, okay? So for today, to start us out real quick, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I want you to open up your Google Classroom, and I would like you to open up to, I believe it is book 1. It might say books 1 and 9. I can't remember how I posted it in years past, so it's either book 1 or books 1 and 9. And while you guys are opening that, I'm going to read the building background here to make sure that some stuff's making sense to you guys. It says, the Iliad and the Odyssey contain timeless portraits of several heroes, including Odysseus, king of Ithaca, and they present plots, characters, and themes that have been echoing throughout Western literature ever since. Although these epics are an artful blend of mythology and legend, they are based on an event that may actually have happened. This was a war waged by the combined forces of a number of Greek city-states against the walled city of Troy. For centuries, Troy was thought to be imaginary. In 1871, however, an archaeologist began unearthing the remains of 9 ancient cities, each built on the ruins of the last, in northwestern Turkey, near where the Iliad places Troy. One of those cities may have been the legendary city of the Trojan War. Now, we are reading the Odyssey. We are not reading the Iliad. So some of you guys might know some of the stories that would have taken place in the Iliad. If we get a chance to watch the movie that goes along with this, you'll see the remnants of the Iliad at the very beginning of the movie. So if you guys know, if you guys have ever heard the expression Achilles' heel, Achilles appears in the Iliad, okay? And so does Odysseus. And Odysseus will be our main character for the duration of the Odyssey, okay? Now, the one thing that I'm struck with, and that I would strongly suggest that perhaps on the very bottom of this sheet, I want you guys to write down a definition here So we're going to have to figure out what a hero is and what is an epic. So if you want to write both those two words down, hero and epic, and we have to come up with the definition of those things. The hero of an epic is a larger-than-life figure who embodies the ideals of a nation or race. Epic heroes take part in long, dangerous adventures and accomplish great deeds that require extraordinary courage and superhuman strength. Odysseus is such a hero. We're not going to read through the example because we'll get through there in just a few minutes anyways. So we have to write down what a hero is and what an epic is. So whoever my substitute is for today, if you could kindly pause this and have the class work with you to come up with a definition of what you suppose this means. Again, it's all right on page 893, so as long as you guys are opening up your Chromebook and actually reading along with me, you guys could do this. So pause and come right back. Okay, we are going to take a look. I would like to prove a point here. So if you guys will open up to page 895, again, whoever my sub is, I'm going to have you pause this video in just another moment. I would like you guys to read the first portion of what's in black. On your screen, everything's going to be in black. On my book, there's black and blue. The blue stuff in my book is what you guys will struggle to read. And honestly, that's written in a way that we're supposed to be able to understand it easier, but it's harder for you guys to read because of the color of the font. So what I would like you guys to do is read, if you look on page 895 up at the top, and on the far left, you notice there's numbers 5, 10, and 15. I want you to see if you can read just the first, say, 15, 18 lines. You don't even have to wait that long. So whoever my sub is, give them a minute or so, 2 minutes, and see if you guys can read this and identify and tell me exactly what was going on. So go ahead and pause right now. Okay, so I'm hoping this was actually paused and you guys actually tried to read this, because hopefully you noticed that, my God, this is kind of hard to understand, okay? And that is why you guys have this, because when it comes time for a test or any worksheets that come off of all this stuff, it's extremely important that you guys take notes. You guys don't take notes, you're going to struggle on all your assignments, okay? So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to read stuff. I'm going to give you clues as to what you should have picked up from this text. And at some point, you guys are going to start to be able to make sense out of this without me having to regurgitate everything. Okay? So he starts out saying, "Sing in me, muse, and through me tell the story of that man skilled in all ways of contending, the wanderer harried for years on end after he plundered the stronghold on the proud height of Troy." They don't tell you yet what that guy's name is, but that is technically Odysseus, okay? If you're looking to write his name, it's fairly close to what's written up at the top of your summary sheet here. So Odysseus is O-D-D-E-S. Uh-oh, I'm going to screw this up for you people. Where is it? O-D, oh, I screwed it up, sorry. O-D-Y, I'm going to rewrite, O-D-Y-S-S-E-U-S. So this is probably backwards for you people, and I apologize, but that is the proper spelling of his name, O-D-Y-S-S-E-U-S. If you'd like to abbreviate that as O, I would on my chart, as long as I knew Odysseus was going to be abbreviated as O every single time, you'll be good. Okay? So, this man, Odysseus, has been skilled in all ways of contending. He can really figure out how to get a lot of things out of a lot of people. He's been to a lot of places. He's traveled tons of experiences. And he plundered the stronghold on the proud height of Troy. So Troy had to have some type of big fortress, big fort, And he was the guy that came up with the plan that got inside of Troy. Like if you guys ever heard the story of the Trojan horse, this is where it would have taken place, and Odysseus would have been the guy that came up with it. If you guys don't know that story, eventually you will, because we'll be reading something later on. It's called a mini myth. And so if we do a mini myth, they're always written in a way that you guys can understand them quite easily without me having to read them to you. Okay, so we'll find out more about Odysseus here. So line 6, he saw the townlands and learned the minds of many distant men and weathered many bitter nights and days in his deep heart at sea, while he fought only to save his life, to bring his shipmates home. So he's on this big journey on a boat, okay? So it's himself and his shipmates, but not by will nor valor could he save them, for their own recklessness destroyed them all. So every single one of the men that he's with, every single one of them die. Okay? Something to maybe be writing in that summary sheet. Children and fools. Why did they die? It says it right here. They killed and feasted on the cattle of Lord Helios the sun. Lord Helios is kind of important for us to write down in that summary sheet. And he who moves all day through heaven took from their eyes the dawn of their return. Of these adventures, Muse, daughter of Zeus, tell us in our time, lift the great song again. So tell us this story about Odysseus, that he's the guy that came up with the plan on how to defeat the people at Troy, how he goes on a ship trying to get home and he loses his entire crew. Why? Oh, because they were really stupid and they ate Lord Helios's cattle. That's why they don't ever get home. And we'll find out more about that again later. So, book 1 is just kind of like dipping your toes in to figure out kind of like what this story is going to be about. So it's kind of like a brief synopsis. And then when we go through all these books, again, if you guys are noticing, this says book 9, book 10, book 12, 21, 22, and 23. You notice it does not go in numerical order. It's because we don't read the entire Odyssey, okay? We get little snippets. If we read the entire Odyssey, we'd probably be reading this all school year. So at the bottom of your page on 895, this is written in a way that you should understand it. And let's see if I can maybe spell some people's names correctly here. It says, in these opening lines of the Odyssey, the poet, which our poet is Homer, invokes or calls upon the muse. The muse is the goddess of poetry, to give him inspiration in telling the story of Odysseus. During the 7 of Odysseus's 10 years, we'll want to write this down. During the 7 of Odysseus's 10 years on the Mediterranean Sea, he is held captive by the goddess Calypso. Let me spell her name for you. It's Calypso. So he is with her for 7 out of 10 years. So I know, sorry, again, it's backwards. But Calypso, Calypso. He is with her for 7 out of 10 years. And she is somewhere out in the Mediterranean Sea. With Athena's help, she's a goddess. With Athena's help, Odysseus finally persuades Calypso to let him go, and she helps him build a raft to leave her island. After Odysseus sails away, his raft is destroyed by storms. Keep in mind, all his crew's already dead. He leaves her island after being there with her for 7 years and still struggles out in the ocean. Alone and exhausted, Odysseus is washed up on the land of the Phaeacians. You don't have to write their name down. Where Alcinous is king. Now, we're going to see Alcinous in book 9. So I'm going to spell his name for you in case you're going to choke on this one, which, again, weird name. Alcinous is Alcinous. Again, that's Alcinous. Alcinous is a guy that sets up a banquet in honor of Odysseus. So he's having a great big feast in his honor. And he asks him to reveal who he is, because he has no idea who Odysseus is. And some of you guys might be wondering, well, why is he having some great big old party? That's something that you would have done back in those days. You know, you have a surprise guest show up, you're going to have a really nice meal for them if you can. All right? So, hey, tell me, who are you? And where do you come from? Because he has no clue that he's Odysseus. Odysseus relates to the king his adventures up to that time. His accounts make up books 9 through 12 of the Odyssey. So we are all done reading book 1. So if you need to pause this video, pause the video, but make sure, have you written down anything about Calypso? I would. Have you written down anything about, hey, we already know what happens to all of Odysseus's men. We already know why it happened to them. We know it has something to do with Lord Helios. You better know why. And again, if you don't, I'd be looking somewhere between lines 10 and 15 on your screens, okay? That's probably some of the most important stuff there, okay? So pause if you need to. Book 9. This is Odysseus starting to address King Alcinous, okay? He's not going to just walk out and say, hey, dude, I'm Odysseus. Not quite Odysseus's way. What shall I say first? What shall I keep until the end? The gods have tried me in 1,000 ways, but first, my name, let that be known to you. And if I pull away from pitiless death, friendship will bind us, though my land lies far. This is something we'll want to write down. I am Laertes' son, Odysseus. So you need to remember who his father is. Laertes. They don't have last names. They're just going with one name here. Men hold me formidable for guile in peace and war. This fame has gone abroad to the sky's rim. My home is on the peaked sea mark of Ithaca under Mount Neon's wind-blown robe of leaves in sight of other islands. Dulichium, same, wooded Xanthus, Ithaca being most lofty in that coastal sea and northwest, while the rest lie east and south. A rocky isle, but good for a boy's training. I shall not see on earth a place more dear, though I have been detained long by Calypso, loveliest among goddesses, who held me in her smooth caves to be her heart's delight, as Circe of Aea, the enchantress, desired me, and detained me in her hall. But in my heart I never gave consent. Where shall a man find sweetness to surpass his own home and his parents? In far lands he shall not, though he find a house of gold. What of my sailing, then, from Troy? What of those years of rough adventure weathered under Zeus? So we have a lot to unpack here. So you know Odysseus's dad's name is, and everybody should answer, somebody please, Laertes, okay? So the one thing you guys have to start to envision here is when he gets to line 8-ish, he says, men hold me formidable for guile. My God, everybody knows I am such a tricky guy. I am so good. People have heard about me. Oh, let's see. It even says that. This fame has gone abroad to the sky's rim. Everybody in the whole world knows who I am. Does Alcinous know who he is? No. Alcinous does not know who he is. In a way, I don't know. In my mind, kind of stupid to be so full of yourself. But, you know, maybe it's not such a bad thing. We'll talk about that as we go in the story. So you may or may not want to write that down yet. But I don't know. In any case, I do want to write it down here. That Odysseus thinks everybody knows who he is. Everybody. Everybody everywhere. And he also says exactly where he's from. Can you guys tell me, what island did he say he was from? Waiting. And waiting. Okay, hopefully you guys looked at line 13. He said something about Ithaca. It was the most lofty in the coastal sea. Oh my God, it's so lovely. It's good for a boy's training. He says that on line 16. I haven't seen a place on earth more dear. That's his home, Ithaca, Ithaca. You need to know that's his homeland, okay? But then he goes on and he talks about two people. This is where he talks very briefly, for right now, he talks very briefly to King Alcinous, stating, hey, I was with two people. I was with Calypso. Remember, how long has he been with Calypso? 7 years. He says that she held me in her smooth caves to be her heart's delight. Calypso, huh? Calypso? Calypso's a female, and she is with some guy named Odysseus. Oh my God, everybody knows who he is. Well, she knew who he was, and she was most impressed with him. And, if you are stuck with somebody for 7 years, doesn't say there's anybody else. I know that there are some other ladies there. At least if memory serves me. Oh no, sorry, it's just Calypso. With Calypso, we never really hear who's with Calypso, but we do know he stays there for 7 years. And if I'm staying with somebody for 7 years, you guys got to really start thinking, what's going on in 7 years' time? Hot guy, hot girl. Think about that for a moment. Then he said he was to be her heart's delight. Do you think she just stared at him for 7 years? No. Anybody getting the answer here? So, I don't like talking about sex because that's not my thing. But, so I'm not going to call it that, but I'm going to say they were playing checkers, okay? Not literal checkers for my people that really think I'm saying checkers. No, I'm not saying checkers. It's code speak, okay? So, playing checkers, 7 years, okay? Then in line 21, he says something about being with Circe, Circe. You guys want to write that down? So here I got Circe, Circe. Again, he says, oh, she's an enchantress. She's a witch. Okay, so I got Circe. Oh, she's a witch. I'm writing that down. She detained me in her hall. Oh, so I was with her. Oh, she's a witch. She's going to be a pretty witch. I'm stuck there with her. Do you suppose they played checkers? By George, you would be correct. Okay? All right, so I stayed there. Where shall a man find sweetness to surpass his own home and his parents? Oh my God, even though I was with those two ladies playing checkers, I really wanted to go home. That's his story, and he's sticking to it. If we take a look at the middle of the page where you guys struggled to read, they give us some extra information, though they don't go into a whole ton of detail here about what happens. Soon after leaving Troy, Odysseus and his crew land near Ismarus. You do not have to write that down. The city of the Cicones. The Cicones are allies of the Trojans and therefore enemies of Odysseus. Odysseus and his crew raid the Cicones, robbing and killing people until the Ciconian army kills 72 of Odysseus's men and drives the rest out to sea. Delayed by a storm for 2 days, Odysseus and his remaining companions continue their journey. So, the one thing I want you to pick up from that is Odysseus has already lost, because in a way, you guys have to remember that even though Odysseus, we know he lost his whole crew, that was like telling us a kind of like what's going to happen in this story that we're going to read. So when he starts this, the story really starts now, okay? King Alcinous is no longer here. It's like this is going into a flashback, okay? So he goes into this flashback, and in this flashback, he has an entire crew of men. He's with the whole boatload of ships, but he's on his way home towards Ithaca. They stopped at the Chacones, and all of a sudden, bam, his ship gets separated from a whole bunch of others, and a bunch of his guys die. Still has a lot of guys, but he's lost 72 of them, okay? So we move on to line 29. Again, whoever my sub is, if you guys want to pause at any time, please pause if you need to. Odysseus continues saying, I might have made it safely home that time, but as I came around Malaya, the current took me out to sea, and from the north a fresh gale drove me on past Cythera. 9 days I drifted on the teeming sea before dangerous high winds. Upon the 10th we came to the coastline of the lotus eaters, who live upon that flower. I'm going to pause for just a moment there because I'm going to guess that some of you guys know something about lotus eaters. If you've ever watched or read Percy Jackson, it seems to me, because it's been a long time since I've seen that, there's a scene where seems to me they go like into a casino or something, into a building, and they're being fed these things. Anybody happen to remember what happens when they get fed these things? Anybody? Well, they kind of lose all track of time, and they lose all track of wanting to do what they had set out to do. And that's exactly what's happening in this story. They came upon the coastline of the lotus eaters. They're going to eat something that makes them forget why they are there. But you guys have to really pay attention to what happens here. We landed there to take on water. All ship's companies mustered alongside for the midday meal. Then I sent out 2 picked men and a runner to learn what race of men that land suited. They fell in soon enough with lotus eaters, who showed no will to do us harm, only offering the sweet lotus to our friends. But those who ate this honeyed plant, the lotus, never cared to report nor to return. They longed to stay forever, browsing on that native bloom, forgetful of their homeland. So this is where, I'm going to want to write down, hey, got to the lotus eaters, and some people ate the blossoms and got them so you don't want to come home. Odysseus hasn't lost all his men. I would say, smart or stupid, to me, this was a pretty smart thing to do. Again, write down, people. Pause again if needed. But it's a smart thing that Odysseus only sent, how many people was that? 3 people. Only 3 people. He sent 2 picked men and a runner. So 2 guys are going to go check it out. There's going to be a runner that says, oh yeah, this is what's going on. Only not one of the 3 come back. If none of them come back, if you're Odysseus, don't you know then that maybe your guys are in some trouble? If he would have sent his entire crew in there to eat all these lotus blossoms and everybody's losing thoughts of ever going home, well, that would have been horrific for Odysseus. He never would have went home. So to me, in my mind, this is an extremely smart thing to do. Okay, I move to page 898. I drove them, all 3, whaling to the ships. So Odysseus goes back after his men. To me, wow, nice thing, great thing to do. He's a good leader. He doesn't leave his men. He called the rest, all hands aboard. Come, clear the beach, and no one taste the lotus, or you lose your hope of home. Filing into their places by the rowlocks, my oarsmen dipped their long oars in the surf, and we moved out again on our seafaring. So hey, guess what? Odysseus goes back, gets those men, brings them back, we're on the ship, and we're gone. He saves all those men. That makes a fantastic leader. Again, something I'd write down in book 9, my summary sheet, my notes, that he saved all of his men. In the next land we found were Cyclops, giants, louts, without a law to bless them. This is extremely important for us to pay attention to. What do you guys know about Cyclops? You guys should be able to tell me, one eye, that's it, okay? Really tall. Now, when you guys envision really tall, I want you to envision not just like 8 or 10 feet tall, because if we ever get to watch the movie, it's fantastic. They make these Cyclops look like gargantuan. Like, imagine them being maybe 2-3 stories tall, okay? So really, really massive. In ignorance, leaving the fruitage of the earth in mystery to the immortal gods, they neither plow, nor sow by hand, nor till the ground, though grain, wild wheat, and barley grows untended, and wine grapes in clusters ripen in heaven's rain. Cyclops have no muster and no meeting, no consultation or old tribal ways, but each one dwells in his own mountain cave, dealing out rough justice to wife and child, indifferent to what the others do. So important for us to make sure we're writing on the summary sheet. Cyclops typically stay away from other Cyclops unless they have a wife and a child, okay? They do not farm. They just take whatever's there, okay? There's also something else here. Oh, they have no muster and no meeting, no consultation or old tribal ways. They don't live by any rules, okay? So that's extremely important for us to remember. No rules apply to these people or these Cyclops, okay? So in the section you're going to struggle reading, it says, across the bay from the land of the Cyclops is a lush, deserted island. Odysseus and his crew land on the island in a dense fog and spend several days feasting on wine and wild goats and observing the mainland where the Cyclops live. On the third day, Odysseus and his company of men set out to learn if the Cyclops are friends or foes. To me, that goes right back to smart and stupid, don't you think? Think about this. You don't know anything about your adversary, but you know they're there. Do you just waltz in, do whatever you want? Or do you try and sit back and study them? Now, if they're like 2-3 stories tall, you might be able to see them from a distance. You might be able to pick up something from them. So to me, that is an extremely smart thing to do. And I hate to do this, but this is the end of the first video because I have to go use the bathroom. And we'll pick back up at line 68 here in just a moment.